Hi, and welcome to Ask Anslie. I'm Anslie Stokes from the Stokes Group. Each week, we'll be answering our clients' frequently asked questions about buying, selling, and all things real estate. This week, we'll be answering the question, does a buyer's down payment matter to a seller? Yes and no. The price, settlement date, and contingencies are usually the main focus of the seller when giving consideration to an offer. Assuming those terms are acceptable, then the seller's next focus will be on the likelihood of the buyer actually being able to perform once the contract is accepted. If a buyer is paying all cash and can show the seller proof of funds sufficient to purchase the property, then there is a very high likelihood that the buyer can and will perform under the terms of the contract. If a buyer needs to obtain a mortgage in order to purchase the property, then a good listing agent will guide the seller through the financing considerations in determining how likely it is that the buyer can perform. The size of the down payment is a major consideration in this context. If a buyer is obtaining a VA or FHA loan, then down payment requirements can be as little as 0% or 3.5% respectively. This is typically an indication to the seller that the buyer's cash position is tight. If a buyer is obtaining a conventional loan, then their down payment can range from 5% in certain cases to the much more common 20% down payment. As a general rule of thumb, the more money a buyer puts down, the more forgiving the lender is willing to be on other loan requirements. But a good listing agent will vet the buyer's pre-approval letter to look for any other signs that the buyer might not be qualified for the purchase, even with a large down payment. In a multiple offer situation, a stronger down payment can tip the scales on one offer when all other terms are equal. In other words, a buyer putting down a larger down payment is typically perceived as a safer bet to get to closing. At the end of the day, whether the buyer puts no money down or pays all cash, the seller nets the same amount so long as the buyer closes. A savvy seller will give consideration to any bona fide offer that comes up and will only be concerned about the down payment if it has the potential to prevent the buyer from getting to closing. As a buyer, seller, or homeowner, you probably have a few more questions, and we'd love to answer them. Call us at 202-270-1081. Email us at anslie@thestokesgroup.com, and be sure to keep your eye out for our next video.